Hi, everybody. My name is Kate Dowling, founder of Your Score Prep. My friends ask me this question all the time. What's the difference between the SAT and the ACT? They want to know which one their kid should take. So I figured I'd just record something that people can access when they need this information. So first of all, understand this. The SAT, the ACT, these two tests are pretty much equal in the eyes of college admissions offices. I understand that sometimes grandma and grandpa, they haven't heard of the ACT and you say, oh, a 35 ACT score, a 36 ACT score. They have no idea what that means. They might understand the SAT better. That's not how it is at admissions offices. So either test works when you are applying to college. And let's talk about the scoring. As far as the scoring goes for these two tests, what I did here is I have a conversion chart. And understand this, the SAT has two sections. You have a reading and writing section and you have a math section. Each section is scored out of 800 points, so they give you a total of 1,600 points. The ACT, as of July 2025, and we're going to talk about that in a second, the ACT involves three sections. One section for reading, one section for math, one section for English. Each of those three is scored on a 36-point scale. And then to get your overall score, your composite score, what you do is you just take the average of those three sections, and that's your overall ACT score. This chart, I took this from the internet. You can Google ACT, SAT conversion chart. You'll get tons of them on the internet. They're all loose conversions, and you can spend some time looking at this, but the main thing to understand is a college admissions office can take an ACT score of, say, 33 and an SAT score of like a 1460, and they can stack those up next to each other in the context of a college application. Those scores are comparable. So whichever test works best for your kid, go for that. You don't have to play this game of, oh, is the SAT more prestigious or more well-respected? That is not how this works. Okay. How are these tests different? There are a few key differences. Now, there are very subtle differences that people like me and that a kid who's in it will feel. But just from a bird's eye view, here are the key differences between the SAT and the ACT. First of all, the SAT is half math. So your overall score on the SAT is going to be 50% math, while on the ACT, it's going to be 1/3 math. The ACT moves at a faster pace than the SAT. Both of these tests move fast. Timing, pacing, these are issues on both the SAT and the ACT, but it is a bigger issue on the ACT. The ACT has 131 questions in 2 hours and 5 minutes, while the SAT gives you 98 questions in 2 hours and 14 minutes. So the ACT is a little faster, and you feel that pacing when you're in there. Vocabulary on the ACT tends to be a little less sophisticated than the SAT. So it's a little simpler than the SAT. Also, the ACT, as of July 2025, will offer an optional science section. It used to be required in the old ACT. In the new one, it is optional. The SAT does not include a separate science section, but you still are dealing with science-heavy questions in the reading section of the SAT. You're looking at data charts, you're reading about scientific studies, you're looking at kind of long scientific names in both of these tests, or at least on the SAT and in the optional science section of the ACT. Here's a graphic. I also found this on the internet. You can definitely spend some time looking at this. I think this one's pretty good. It is out the July 2025 and beyond ACT, and it's stacking it up next to the SAT. So it's worth a look through. My 2 cents about which test to take. So right now, as I am shooting this video, it is June 2025. The ACT is changing in format as of July 2025. So all the information that I just gave you, that is in reference to the new July 2025 and beyond ACT. Because the ACT is new, my gut tells me it might be wise to wait on the ACT right now. Again, it is June 2025 as I film this. If you are planning on starting your SAT or ACT journey in the next 6 months, I would probably lean SAT. And here's why. Back in March of 2024, the SAT went through a big change and they shifted to digital and they shifted up the format a little bit of the test. And there was a growth period that happened. In fact, the first 3 practice tests that the College Board, the people who write the SAT, that the College Board gave us, they're now off the table. The College Board has rescinded those because I think that those tests were not perfectly mimicking what they ended up doing in the actual test. So there is some growing pains when a test does a big shift, and the ACT is going through that shift right now. So that's why I would say probably best to depend on the more established SAT at this moment. You have better, more established practice resources. The College Board gives us an official test bank of questions that we can use to practice for the SAT. We have less of those for the new ACT. Now, that being said, every kid is different, and there are reasons to go ACT. There's 2 big ones in my mind. First of all, the ACT has a paper option. If you don't want your kid sitting in front of a computer prepping for one of these tests, or if you don't think that's going to serve your kid best, the ACT is on paper. The SAT does not offer paper. They're only online. The ACT does. That might be a real draw for some kids. Also, if you have a major, and I mean major math deficit, you might want to lean ACT, only because math is worth 33% of the final score, as opposed to 50% of the final score, where like it is on the SAT. Those are the 2 big motivators that I see for right now, in 6 months from now, doing the ACT. If those aren't, if you're like maybe a little bit off in math or something like that, probably SAT is fine. You can use all those practice resources. The ACT is rapidly coming out with practice resources, so this information may change soon. But right now, if you are planning on prepping during summer 2025 and you're okay with an online test, and there's not like a significant math issue, I would probably go SAT. We can all reevaluate in the fall once we've had a couple ACTs, this new ACT out there, and we have some feedback on that. I hope you found this helpful. If you have more questions, please reach out, kate.dowling@yourscoreprep.com. Thanks for listening. I hope this helps.